So let us start the today's session with some quote. So the quote is, hard work beats the talent when talent does not work hard. So this inspired me a little bit just. So if the talent person does not work, just simply thinks that he has talent, that doesn't work. So but if a normal person, if he could able to work, so in steps, definitely he could win the situation. Right. So with this quote, let us start today's session. So in the last session, we were discussing about the passive element, which is the resistor, which is the resistor. So let me give you some details about the resistor. So we seen majorly two category of resistors. One is fixed resistor, and other category is variable resistor. Fixed resistor and other categories variable resistor. And fixed resistor symbolic representation look like this. Usually we take the two terminal elements and whose resistance values are, whereas the variable resistor also almost same but slight difference is there. We will have a wiper which is a variable pointer. We can move this point, this arrow corresponding thing, so that also constitute one more terminal. So though it has three terminals, basically we will be using only any two terminals. So let us say these are 1, 2 and 3. If I will choose 1 and 3, that becomes the variable resistor, or 2 and 3 also becomes the variable resistor. So apart from this, we had seen some more things, that is what the color coding. So usually the low power or low wattage resistors, low wattage wattage resistors are are given with are given with color bands. So based on this color coding, we need to determine the resistance value. So for which just I had given some quotation that B.B. Roy of Great Britain has very good wife. So if you remember this quotation, it is easy that, so let us name these color corresponding numbers as like this: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we said that usually we will have 4 or 5 band resistors. So let us take a simple thing in this way. So sorry. So if I'll consider a small resistor as like this. So let us assume that this is the resistor, and whose color bands, let us think in this way that there is a color band here, one more color band, one more color band, one more color band, and fifth one also there. Let us say 5 bands. Now each corresponding band I'll write as B1, B2 color, B3, B4 and B5. So remember that first two bits are the significant bits which contribute the resistor values, and the second bit is the multiplier. Third bit is the multiplier, and fourth bit is what the tolerance, and fifth is the reliability. So these terminology you remember. These first two contribute the corresponding to the significant significant figures, significant bits, and the second one, third one is corresponding to multiplier. So the next one is corresponding to the tolerance. So now based on these color bands, we can write the resistor value as R is equal to, so B1 B2 into 10 power B3 plus or minus B4 percentage. Plus or minus B4 percentage. So these things just you try to work out. So to get the color coded resistor values, resistance value. So now let us move on to some more additional information on the resistance values. So usually we had seen these two class that resistors are of fixed and variable. So let me take the variable corresponding resistor and let us see some important characteristics of the circuit analysis. So if I'll take the resistance, if the resistor is a variable resistor, let us take in this way. So now I am taking simply arrow on top of it. What does it represents? This is a variable resistor.
Variable resistor, sir.
So now let us say what might be the R minimum. How much will be the minimum value which I can adjust with the help of this resistor. That can be very small. Ideally it is equal to 0. Ideally it is equal to 0. The minimum resistance which we can obtain from a variable resistor is 0. Similarly, how much is the maximum resistance which I can offer by a resistor is R max. So how much I can offer is that very high. Ideally it may goes to infinite. So variable resistor means I can vary the resistance from 0 to a very high value which is of infinite in number. Now these two characteristics, that is minimum resistance of 0, maximum resistance of infinite, will contribute to two important concept which is the open circuit and short circuit. Open circuit and short circuit. So for which, so let me take in this way. Let us have assume that here I have some circuit. This is some circuit in which so some element might be connected. So let us extend that element terminals outside of that circuit. So I am extending the element terminals outside of the circuit, and here let us place the resistor. What kind of resistor is this? Variable resistor. Variable resistor, and let us vary this resistor. So when we vary this resistance, so now the first thing which we could see here is that, let me make a copy of this. Sorry. Let me make a copy of this and one more copy also here. Right. So now let us assume that, so this one, let us assume that case 1, this R, let me write as here R. So R is minimum value which is equal to 0. R is equal to minimum value which is equal to 0. What does this minimum value represents? Is it is equivalent to in this way. Just let me make a little smaller. So what does minimum represents is that, then here no resistance, simply zero resistance means a simple conductor, ideal conductor, as like this. So now let me indicate some more things across this. If voltage across this resistance is V, and if I'll assume that current flowing through this is I, then here also same thing will be carried. Voltage across this is V and current flowing through this is I. Now one thing we can observe, very important thing, when resistance of this resistor is 0, then the voltage appearing across that branch will be simply 0. Why? Because you can see this, V is equal to IR, I into R min. How much is the R min? 0. So this goes to 0. So this is one of the important characteristics which we call this as the short circuit. This portion, simply bare conductor. between two terminals. So let me write that two terminals also here as 1, here as 2. Between 1 and 2. Between 1 and 2, what do we have? Zero resistance. If between 1 and 2, if there is zero resistance, we can say that is a short circuit. So this is the short circuit. Short circuit. Short circuit. We use very frequently this, so we use the short form for this as SC, short circuit. So what is the important characteristics of short circuit? Voltage across the short circuit is zero. Voltage across the short circuit is zero. And what is the other characteristics? Resistance is also zero. So these two things you should observe very carefully. These are very, very important points. So one is short circuit resistance, means when resistance is zero, that is called as short circuit basically. In that process, we get the voltage of that element is also zero. These are the two important things. Next, let us make the resistance to be maximum value. How much is the maximum? It is infinite. The possible highest value which I can contribute here is infinite. So R max. So how much is this R max? Let us say infinite. Now tell me that what is the property of the resistance basically? It tries to oppose the flow of current. If it is opposing such that no current is passing through it, when this situation can arise? When the resistor offers infinite amount of the resistance. Infinite amount of resistance means it ideally does not allow any current to pass through that element. That means, so when this resistance is so much high, in such a way that the current flowing through this will be simply zero. Why? Because such a high resistance, you can imagine that. So in this way, like, so if you take a water pipe, so if it is not a ideal one, you want to transport the water from one place to other place. If it has many holes, then water will be dropped there. But if it is ideal and no damage at all, can you expect any dropouts? No dropout, zero. In the same way, here if it is this resistance is very, very high, ideally infinite, how much current does pass through this element? Zero current. Clear? So now we can make this as this equivalent as in this way. It is equivalent to say that here very high resistance is there. What does high resistance represents? Simply open, means nothing is there here. So just air will be the highest resistance value which is offered, then thereby no current is passing, just completely breaking of this conductor. So these conductor terminals let us name 1 and 2. Between 1 and 2, what is the element which exists? So a infinite resistance will exist. Infinite resistance, R is equal to infinite. So when an infinite resistance exists, what happens? The current through that will be zero. So these are the characteristics of the open circuit. Open circuit. Whenever a branch or an element offers infinite resistance, it is equivalent of the open circuit, means circuit got broken. See here, so you can observe here carefully. So there is no contact or connection between the terminal 1 and 2. Observe carefully. There was a breaking of conductor. So thereby current does not pass through it. So now what you should understand is that, so for open circuit, resistance is infinite, thereby current is zero. These are the important characteristics of the open circuit. Clear? So with this, now let us move on to some more additional information on this resistor. So that is, so we had seen Ohm's law. We said that the current is proportional to the applied voltage across the conductor terminal at constant temperature. Constant temperature. For example, if this does not obey, or let us say if it obeys, what kind of characteristics we get? So in this way, just you can see here, if this is the current axis, if this is the voltage axis, then if these are the characteristics that obeys these Ohm's law, then once it obeys the Ohm's law, the characteristics look like straight line where the slope of this will be the y corresponding axis parameter v divided by x corresponding axis parameter, which is equal to the resistance. So the elements which obeys this I is proportional to V relationship means Ohm's law, we call as linear elements. Linear elements, whichever the elements which obeys the Ohm's law called as linear elements. Then is there any such things which does not obey this relationship? Yes, surely. So there are some elements which does not obey these relationships also. So that we call as a non-linear element. So the characteristics of the non-linear elements look like this. It will not be a straight line. It may be some kind of curve, like uneven kind of thing. The variation of current with the application of the voltage does not vary in a proportional manner. Sometimes higher, sometimes lower, like that. So some uneven kind of things will take place, that we call as a non-linear elements. Non-linear elements. So you can conclude here that the elements which obeys the Ohm's law can be called as the linear elements, where the voltage current characteristics look like straight line. The elements which does not obey the Ohm's law is called as a non-linear elements. So the example for this is that, and one thing we can even straight away state that what might be the reason for not obeying the Ohm's law. This does not obey the Ohm's law. Let me write here, does not obey Ohm's law. Ohm's law. So whereas these will obeys the Ohm's law. So let me put here, these obeys the Ohm's law. So which obeys the Ohm's law is linear elements, which does not obey the Ohm's law is non-linear. Now what might be the reason for it's not obeying the Ohm's law? One might be the temperature. If the temperature is not constant, if it is varying, then it does not obey the Ohm's law. So now such an example you can look for in reality. So you can take the so light lamp. So you can observe that once you switch on, just incandescent kind of lamps, once you switch on, after some time temperature will rise. That means temperature is not maintained constant. Thereby the voltage current relationship does not be a like straight line. So which is one of the non-linear element. And other element which you see regularly is diode. You can see the diode voltage current characteristics. It will not be a straight line. So these are the non-linear elements examples. Clear? And in circuit analysis, we see one more term, that is the reciprocal of the resistance. We see many times the reciprocal of resistance. Reciprocal of the resistance. What does mean by reciprocal? That is 1 by R. That is 1 by R. So this 1 by R, reciprocal of the resistance, is referred as the conductance. It is referred as the conductance. And we usually represent by the letter G. G represents the conductance. And the units for this G is mho. The symbolic representation of this is so opposite to the ohms, or it can also be referred as Siemens. S. So this is one more term we frequently come across in our circuit analysis. And what does this conductance represents is that, just you can see that conductance is So I can write 1 by R. What is the relationship we got for the resistor? So as V by I. So can I write this as I by V? I by V. So resistance reciprocal. What is the resistance? Oppose the flow of current. So what might be the reciprocal kind of thing? It does not oppose the flow of current. That means conductance represents the ability of an element of an element ability of an element to to conduct to conduct to conduct electric current to conduct electric current ability to conduct the electric current. And from this relationship, so we can write the current as G into V. This is very frequently used expression. So I is equal to the conductance G into V. So why? Because I is equal to V by R. 1 by R can be written as G. So now, so we seen the power relationship. So can I write this power relationship as VI, where we can write I as GV, so that we will get V into GV. So which we get this as V square into G. V square into G. Or even we can substitute in other form, that in this way, that here we substituted I is equal to GV. We can also substitute V is equal to I by G. We can also substitute V is equal to I by G. So if we substitute V is equal to I by G in the first expression here, what do we get? I square by G. I square by G. So one should have the basic understanding on these things also. So these are some important expressions, and you can see the power relationship with the voltage or current. So power is function of square of the voltage, or you can say function of square of the current. Whenever square relationship, cubic relationship is there, that is what the nonlinear relationship. Only just directly proportionality relationship, means function of V or function of I is there, then it is linear relationship. So if we see the power relationship and power characteristics, so what kind of characteristics are we going to get is that, let us take this as the voltage or current, x-axis as voltage or current. Let us say first case voltage, and check the power on the y-axis, and let us see the relationship between this power and voltage. So what we get is that, so let me extend this axis here. Now see that as the voltage increases, initially it might be slowly rising, then as it goes further, it will be fastly rising, like that. Why? Because square term is there. Square term is there. Similarly, if the voltage is increasing negatively, then the negative square will become again positive. Still the power will be in the positive. It look like parabola. So this is what the nonlinear power relationship is. Nonlinear power relationship with voltage or current. Okay. So with this, so let us so for the timing stop here about this resistance. So we come across this resistor again. So when we completed rest of the two passive elements, then we have a detailed circuit analysis of this resistor value. So now for the time being, let us take the next element, which is the inductor. So first let us see how and what will be the inductor. How can we form the inductor? For which, so just I would like to tell you, you take a piece of wire, okay, piece of wire, and so you take any object, just like a pen, or some, if you have some iron rod, or some any material, some iron piece, just look like pen, etc. Then do one thing that, so you can see in your pens some spring is there, right? So sometimes some peoples will use so spring kind of that pen also. Then what you do is that you take a piece of wire and take some object like pen and place this piece of wire on this pen and make formation of a coil or a spring kind of thing. So this coil or spring which is placed on some object, that may be pen, iron piece or any steel or anything. So this coil which is formed with the support of this object is called as inductor. Is called as a inductor. How does it look like? It look like this. So see here. So let me take the object as like this. This might be some magnetic material. It may be pen or non-magnetic material, no issue. And I might be took piece of wire. What I will be doing is that I will be twisting around this in this way. Around this in this way. See that? Then finally it is coming out, and starting terminal is this one 1 and the ending terminal is this one 2. So this is what basically a inductor. What extra we did? Nothing, just we tried to make the conductor into a coil form. When a conductor is made into coil form, it forms the inductor. Now let us see what is the property of conductor initially. If I have a conductor, straight conductor, which I does not made into coil yet, so assume that it is a straight conductor as like this. So if it is carrying a current of I amperes, what might be the general effect, which we can so recap from our physics concept, that when a conductor is carrying current, it establish flux around the conductor. So these are the flux around the conductor. So this blue color one are the flux lines. So that means the property is that when a flow of current takes place through a conductor, definitely it establishes the flux around the conductor. Clear? So this is the basic property. Now, if I'll made that conductor into a coil form, still some flux lines will be there. How it will be is as like this. The distribution of the flux lines are like this. So this is according to Fleming's right hand thumb rule. So just I will tell you in this way that, so you place the, or let me not to go in details of that basic laws or principles. Now when this conductor is made into coil form, still flux lines are there, but it will not be as like a straight conductor. So it will be as like this, as this blue color. These are what the flux lines. Now this we can call basically as a inductor. So when a coil is a conductor is made into coil form, it forms the inductor. And the symbolic representation of this coil as in the inductor form, just we show a symbol this way. So this is the circuit symbol or schematic symbol of a inductor. Instead of drawing every time this big circuit, so just we take the inductor symbol in this way. And inductance is represented by the letter L. Now if we see the basic principle of this inductor, just in a short way let me explain in this way. The amount of the induced voltage across these terminals between 1 and 2 terminals. If it is, this is the inductor, let us say this is the 1, this is the 2. What I want to see here is that how much is the induced voltage across these terminals. So that induced voltage depends on the amount of the current rising in this coil. If I'll increase the current very fastly, then more amount of the induced EMF can be developed across this. So E is proportional to the rate of change of current. This conclusion is from the Faraday's laws that the amount of the induced EMF in a coil is proportional to the rate of change of current, which we can write this as that proportionality constant as inductance L. So L into di by dt. This is what the voltage or the induced EMF. Voltage or induced EMF. Where we can just make this expression little bit more different way. So this L is constant, basically we can bring inside of this differentiation. So d by dt of Li. So this Li can be referred as the flux linkage psi, where psi represents Li, which we call this as flux linkage. So more precisely we can define the inductance as L is equal to psi by I. That means amount of the flux developed per unit current. That is what the inductance. The units of the inductance is the henries. Usually we represent the symbol H. So this is the basic definition of the inductance. So what does the inductor do basically? Try to understand in this way. It try to oppose the change in current. What does the current do? It establishes the flux. That means it is opposing the change in current, means it try to oppose the sudden change in the flux. So this is the basic property of the inductance. So I can write here. So inductance so opposes change in current. So now let us take the inductance value. So for a particular dimension, like as I told you, take a piece of wire and just make some spring kind of thing. Then with these dimensions, see here. So I considered this, we call hereafter as a core. Some material or some iron piece or some pen. What will be its cross section area? So area of cross section, let us assume as A. So what is that area of cross section? Is that some material we are choosing for the support of framing this coil. So that area of cross section is A, and length of this coil, how much length I am distributing this coil is L. Then based on these dimensions, we can come to this expression that inductance L can be written as mu n square A by L. So there is history behind this expression also, but we don't want to go in details of that. Just try to have awareness on this expression first. What is the mu? Mu is the permeability. I'll tell you each word what is the significance of this permeability. So here if you see, I told you that we are choosing some material, that is what we call as a core. Core has some property. That material has some property. If it is a magnetic material, if the core is magnetic material, then all magnetic material, if I'll give small amount of current for small amount of current, it can produce it can produce greater amount of greater amount of greater amount of flux, can produce greater amount of flux. So this capability or the property of the magnetic material which can enhance the production of the flux. Usually all magnetic material has higher capability than non-magnetic material. So this property of the magnetic material which can produce the more amount of flux for small amount of current, we call as the permeability. We define that capability in terms of this parameter. So every magnetic material has its own permeability. Some reference point is defined based on the experimentation metal characterization. So let us assume this mu permeability in this way, that it is the ability of a material to produce the flux, So usually for all magnetic materials this kind of property is applicable. For small amount of current it can produce the greater amount of the flux. Clear? Next is the number of turns which we are placing here. The number of turns is n. So like first turn, second turn, third turn, like that, how many rotations you are making around this object. This object might be some magnetic material. Around this, how much, like how many turns are you rotating? So that is what the n. And area of cross section is A and length of this core is L. Effective length means from where here conductor is placed from this length to this corresponding point to this corresponding. So that is what the effective length of this coil. So with these dimensions, so we can get the inductance of L which is equal to mu n square A by L. Clear? So capital L is the inductance, and where this permeability can be written as mu naught into mu r. Mu naught is the air free space permeability, mu r is the relative permeability. For air, mu r is equal to 1. So we see these discussions in the magnetic circuit in detail. Now let us leave this history here. So just try to understand that with these dimensions we can get this amount of the inductance value. So now with that, let us take these problems. So see this. Just read this question carefully. Read this question. Make a note of these things in your notebook. Right? So what are we saying here? Voltage across an inductor is 250 volts. So try to make make an habit of solving the problems in this way, like sentence by sentence, word by word. Voltage across, see this terminology, across, that means parallel. Like let us take the inductor first. So how we represent the inductor symbol? Just like spring, like this. Let us assume that it has two terminals, 1 and 2. What does the inductor? Inductor is the device. What does it do? It offers the inductance, L. It offers the inductance. Now, voltage across this is, you can assume either upside place, downside place, it's your wish. So, as because it is not given, so you can take in your own way. So, I am considering one side as positive, two side as negative. So, I told you voltage polarity is represented as V suffix 1 2. So, which is equal to 250 volts, which is given 250 volts. So, here this one represents positive side. First suffix is reference of the positive with respect to the second suffix. Clear? Next, see that when its current changes at the rate of 10 milliamperes per microsecond. What does it mean? So, the amount of the current change is di by dt. How much current is changing? 10 milliamperes for how much of time? 1 microsecond. So, just you try to make these units into SI units, simply remove all prefixes. So just write this as 10 into 10 power minus 3 amperes divided by 1 micro means 1 into 10 power minus 6 seconds. So amperes per second. So if you want, you can simplify this a little bit more. So here how much is 10 power minus 2 is there, here 10 power minus 6 is there. So how much is that? 10 power 4 amperes per second. Is that correct? Check it. Right. So next is what do we need? Inductance L. So how can we get? We seen the relation for the inductor V is equal to, or V is proportional to, let me write the original relationship. The voltage developed across the inductor is proportional to the rate of change of the current. This proportionality constant we called as a inductance L. So into di by dt. Now everything is given. So we need to determine this L is equal to V by rate of change of current. So this unit simplification you need to do. Don't leave as like that. Okay. So this is 250 divided by, so 10 power 4. How much is the inductance? So can I say 250 into 10 power minus 4? Then further this can I write as 25 into 10 power minus 3? So this we can say Henry's H, or we can say this 10 power minus 3 we can merge into this, we can call as this as milli Henry, 25 milli Henry. Clear? Right. So let us see the next thing. Voltage across 2 millihenry inductance is 50 volts. How fast is the current changing? I hope you can do this. So what we need to do? We need to determine di by dt. That means how fast the current is changing. So remaining things are given. Clear? So let me proceed with the other problem. So this third one. So see this, again read it. So a 0.15 meter long air core coil, means length of the coil is given. How much is that? 0.15 meters. So it has, means core has, air core means just simply like a plastic pen might be chosen to form the coil. So that plastic is not a conductor, so we can call as a air core. If there is any iron piece chosen, we call it iron core. Clear? So here that radius of the core is 0.006 meters. Now, so it might be in this way. If it is not given, we choose so a cylinder kind of shape. If it is specified any other than this, definitely they will specify square or any shape. So now this is what the area of cross section. So if you take a circular shape something like this, so then area of cross section of that will be, this is what the area of cross section. Then how to find this area of cross section? If we know the radius r is given for us. So can we find the area of cross section of this? As like this, pi r square. So that is equal to pi into 0.006 square. How much is this value? Can you find? And tell me. So what else is there? Number of turns is given. That means on this pen, this might be pen. Why? Because it is air core. Air core means it is non-conductor. So like this, some coil is placed. Conductor is placed. Now, how many turns we placed? N is equal to 120 turns. Now we need to determine the inductance value. So just you recap the inductance expression. L is equal to mu n square A by L. So what is mu? So see that mu is equal to mu naught into mu r. What is the core? This is the core. What is the core? Core is air. So for air, mu r is equal to 1. What is mu naught? Mu naught is like free space permeability, which is equal to 4 pi into 10 power minus 7 Henry per meter. Units also important. Now use these things and substitute all these here. So let me write 4 pi into 10 power minus 7 into 120 whole square into, so pi into 0.006 whole square by length is 0.15 meter. So see, everything is in meters. Otherwise you have to transform something. If centimeters is given, you convert that into meters. So do these calculations very carefully. Don't do any mistake in this simplifying these calculations. Why? Because that what it represents that. So what is the final answer? Clear? If somebody could do this now itself, just do and give me the answer. Can you give me this answer quickly? Everyone should do this so that you will get practice. That what it makes you perfect over a time. Otherwise, if you try only in the directly in the exam, so there instead of typing into 10 power minus 7, you may type in a hurry 10 power plus 7. That leads to everything disastrous. Okay. Can you give me this answer? How much, madam?
10.6.
Huh? Not clear. Your voice is not clear. Okay, then you write down in your notebook. So then let us see the next topic, which is the capacitor. So we quickly see the important characteristics of this device also. So as like the inductor, so you can make a simple generalized demonstration about the capacitor is that if you have in your pocket with you some 2 coins, let us say 1 rupee coins or some 2 rupee, whatever it may be, 2 coins you take it, whatever may be the shape. So let us say this is 1 coin, and beside that, just either bottom or top, you place one more coin. So you know that this coin is a conductor. This coin is a conductor. So what I did is that these 2 coins, I would like to make some wire, I would like to join with this coin, and on the bottom coin also I would like to join some wire. And if you observe, these 2 coins are separated by a distance d. So if this kind of conductors, that may be like some plates, how the coin look like? It look like a plate. So these are the conducting plates which are separated by a distance. So anything which is a conducting plate separated by a distance, that is what forms the capacitor. That what it forms the capacitor. A simple thing. Now you can make a little bit more that emphasis that what is the material between these 2 conducting plates. It may be air, it may be some plastic, it may be some other material, some mica. To hold these two materials side by side, we may use in between some material. So that what we call as dielectric. So now let us state capacitor in simple way that so metallic plates are separated by a distance of d with the help of a dielectric medium. So that what forms the capacitor. Here you can see two metal plates are there. This may be in rectangular shape, which are separated by a distance of d. Here let us assume these are separated by a distance d. In between these two plates, what is the material? That may be a dielectric material. So even that may be simply air, we may fill with air. So like that a capacitor is formed and its circuit symbol, every time it is not possible to draw this entire sketch. So instead of that, just we simply represent two parallel lines. So that one parallel line may be curved in nature. That curve in nature represents polarized. Polarized means polarity is defined already. Whichever is a straight line, that what it represents positive, whichever is curved line, what it represents negative. If you see the capacitor symbol both as straight lines, this means it is non-polarized. Means we don't know what is the plus, what is the minus. Even upper side plate can be positive or even lower side plate also can be positive. Means not simultaneously. Okay, if one is positive, other one is negative, like that. So we can just turn the capacitor terminals in whichever way we want. Clear? So these are the capacitor symbol, and let us understand the operation of the capacitor in a simple way with this diagram. So now, so if you observe the generalized property of metals are conducting materials. So metals are rich in free electrons, rich in free electrons, rich in free electrons. So what happens is that when these two metal plates are connected with a battery, what happens is that these are rich in free electrons. So what happens is that this battery positive terminal will try to pull all the free electrons. We know that these electrons are attracted with the positive terminal. So unlike polarities will try to attract each other. So these electrons all will be pulled. That means electron flow is taking place towards the battery. That is what this arrow. That means flow of electrons we call as a current. So these all electrons are pulled by the battery. Then so that all will reach over here to the battery. And same number of electrons will be pushed towards this other plate and it is charged. These free electrons will get charged by this negative terminal of the battery. Means initially it is not holding any charge. Only free electrons are there. Now what happens is that when we connect a battery, these free electrons all pulled out of this upper plate, whereas the lower plate is filled with the charge in the free electrons. So you can assume that initially a empty bag will be there. Empty bag. So those empty bags are pulled by this battery and it is reaching over here. Whereas in other side, so this battery will try to fill these empty bags here. Here also empty bags, but now it is trying to fill with the charge, negative charge. Thereby, this lower side plate becomes charged. Electrons are deposited. What kind of electrons is that? Negatively charged electrons are deposited on the lower side plate. On the upper side plate, all the charges, free electrons are pulled away. Thereby, a positive charge is taking place. This process we call as charging of capacitor. Charging of capacitor. Just try to understand in this way that initially, so simply metal plates are there. where metal plates are rich in free electrons. Then the free electrons are pulled by battery 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 positive terminal, thereby simply a positive charged ions will be establishing. Positive charged ions takes place on the one side of the plate. In the same way, so this battery will try to charge these free electrons, thereby on the other side of the plate, the second plate will become negatively charged. That means indirectly this battery is doing some work in making these plates to be positive and negative. Then in that process, like this, in this process of charge separation, positive and negative, or positive charge will be deposited on the upper side plate and equal amount of the negative charge is deposited on the lower side plate. To do this charge deposition, this battery has to do some work. Means that rate of work done we call the energy. Energy is given to these conducting plates which are separated by a distance of d. This energy giving process we call as the charging. Who is giving? Battery is giving the energy to the capacitor. Now this process happened. Now suddenly I would like to switch off. Let us say the switch is connected. I would like to disconnect the battery suddenly. After this process happened. After this process of charging. What happens? Check it. Just generally think that. So this battery has given some energy to the capacitor. Suddenly we are separating that battery and the capacitor. So some amount of that charge separation going to be stay on the capacitor plate as it is. So this staying of the charges plus q and minus q on the capacitor plates we call as the capacitor is storing the energy. Storing energy in the form of charge. Now how much is that charge? Is always proportional to the voltage built across these two plates. We said that voltage is just simply charge separation. When charge separation is there, definitely voltage is there. If more amount of the charge separation is there, more amount of the voltage can be built over here. So the charge is proportional to the applied voltage across these two terminals. So which is equal to usually battery voltage previously which we connected. So that what we call as capacitor has charged to a voltage of V which is equal to battery voltage. If we leave like that, then suddenly we switched off or we disconnected the battery, then same amount of voltage going to retain on this. That what we call as storing the energy. How it is storing the energy? In the form of charge. So this proportionality constant we can call the capacitance C. Q is equal to CV. Now, so based on these the plate dimensions and area of cross section etc. So we can have this capacitance value C is equal to epsilon naught A by D, where epsilon naught or epsilon is written as epsilon naught into epsilon r, where this we call as permittivity. And epsilon naught is free space permittivity, epsilon r is relative permittivity. Whereas in inductor, permeability. Try to differentiate these two terms. Clear? And A is the area of cross section of the plate. Area of cross section of the plate. And D is the distance between the plates. So from this relationship it is easily understood that if area increases, it is a direct proportional relationship with the capacitance. So if area increases, capacitance increases. So another is that if the distance between plate increases, capacitance decreases. So you can see the effect of these parameters. Apart from that, if I will increase the dielectric medium between these two capacitor plates, a dielectric medium is there which has this parameter, permittivity. So if that is increased, then obviously capacitance is going to be increased. So just I had put up these 3 points over here. First one is that, so C is proportional to A, that means area of the capacitor plates are increased as like this. Initial area is A. If I will increase that area by 4 times, then what happens? What happens? Q. Initially the charge is Q. Then so Q is equal to CV. Q is equal to CV. So that is you can say that C is proportional to A. So Q is just simply, let me write proportionality relationship, A into B like this. That means if area increases, charge also increases. How much time? Same amount of time. If area increases by 4 times, charge also increases by 4 times. Thereby capacitance increases 4 times than the previous. So this is what we call proportional or direct relationship. If one quantity varies by twice, the corresponding quantity also going to vary twice. This is what the direct relationship. Another is that, just see this, spacing between these two plates. So second one is distance D. So what we said, capacitance is indirectly proportional to the distance. C is proportional to 1 by D. If I will reduce the space, if spacing is decreased, just a general thing you can understand that if spacing decreases, so the capacitor plates are coming closer to each other. So in that process you can see that more electrons can move from A to B. A to B. So that what we call as increasing the charge on the plates. Increasing the charge on the plates. So thereby capacitance going to be decreased. This spacing we are decreasing, right? So if spacing decreases, capacitance increases. C increases. As because D is decreased. This is what, if one increases, other decreases. This is what inversely proportional relationship. Similarly, let me take the third one, C or third one. So the dielectric material. So if I use, instead of air between these two plates, any dielectric material, that may be ceramic, whose permittivity is epsilon. So remember, as like the inductor, if we use any magnetic material for the inductor as a core, the inductance value going to increase. In the same way, if I use any dielectric medium between the two capacitor plates, so its capacity going to be enhanced. So this is what the capability of storing the energy. Which energy? So electrical energy in case of capacitor. In case of inductor, magnetic energy. Clear? So if we use any dielectric material, so then instead of air, so that capacitance is going to increase. You can see that. So without dielectric material, if capacitance value is 200 picofarad, with introducing some ceramic dielectric material, it going to be increased to 1.5 microfarad. That means micro is much higher than the pico. So like this, these three parameters which affect the capacitance value.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So with this, let us close today's session. So let me quickly revise what we had seen. And some simple problem is there, you can solve this. This is the homework. So simple, just based on these expressions. So let me quickly revise. So what we had seen, we seen the resistance, some properties, and inductance relationship, that is V is equal to L into di by dt, where L can be written as flux linkage to the current which also can be written as mu n square A by L, and other is the capacitor. So capacitor relationship I did not given, but later on I will give. So C is equal to epsilon A by D. So you can see from this expression, if I vary this epsilon A D, how the capacitance is going to be changed. And apart from this, Q is equal to CV expression also very important. So try to get aware of all these expressions before going to the circuit analysis part. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Bye.